Well, good morning, everybody out there in YouTube land. This is the 1122 Wingnut Radio out here for Anarchy Television. And I'm sitting by the fire again. I might not make this a long stream. The only thing is I might just do kind of a short one, and then I'll open up the speakeasy. I think I'll do that tonight. I don't know. But matter of fact, while I'm thinking about it, I'm going to throw that in there for people, anybody that I know. They're welcome up on panel. Well, good evening, morning. What's on fire? I got wood. I got wood, man. Got wood. I just started it, so it's hasn't really caught on yet. Oh, the pups are doing good. Huh? They're kind of hanging out in there in the yard right now. Well, at least a little bit is. Big girl's sitting in her, laying in her chair, comfortable. No, I take that back. They're both out here in the yard. Yeah, I hear you. I was gonna sit backstage on another stream, but fucking it took too long and I lost the link. So I decided to go ahead and start my own stream up. Like I said, I'm probably gonna do not a very long one tonight, live. I think what I'll do is I'll just do kind of a not a very a shorter live stream, and then I'll open up the speakeasy for anybody that wants to come up, and we'll sit back at stage and chat. But I did put the link in there for anybody that I do know. Welcome up on the panel. We can talk and all that stuff because uh, sometimes I can bore myself unless I have something to talk about. Talking, with just me talking. Listening to myself talk anyway. I don't mind if you want to try that link again, just saying hello. I lost the link on that last live I was just on. I lost it. It's lost in the live chat, and I can't get it again. So I ain't worried about it. I didn't save it or copy and paste it or anything like that. I was going to do it, but then I was just like I sat too long, and it disappeared on me while I was trying to start the fire. Which I need to get something to get this fire going now. Think about it. I just got to blow on it. I got to blow on the wood. I just got to blow on it to get it going. What auditors have you been watching lately? Seems like a lot of the big players are MIA. Oh, well, Audapalooza is this weekend. That might be one reason. Everybody's probably getting ready for that or something like that. Audapalooza is happening this weekend, actually. I think it's like Saturday. So that might be it. A lot of people are fucking making a trip to that, down to that. I am going to try and go. Joe Cool is coming down from Chicago, and me and him are supposed to be going. But you know, he's got to get. I talked to him a few days ago, and he's trying to get all the logistics down. And then he's got to drive down from Chicago, which is like a 15-hour drive. Black Watch, what's up? And and but uh John's fucking place is like 2 hours away from me. So uh I'm kind of waiting on Joe to do his little thing, you know. Well, I'm sure all the Florida people are gonna go because you know it's right here in Florida. So I mean, you know, I'm actually you know, yeah, you know, I'm hoping everything works out, you know, because I'm kind of excited. This is probably gonna be the last one, and according to John, anyway. But it's probably gonna be the last one, and I mean, you know, you know, I, I have yet to meet in person a few, you know, a few of these Florida boys down here. You know, so I mean, you know, like to meet in person, you know, Mike, Armed Fisherman, you know, Rogue Nation, fucking, you know, quite a few of the Florida people, kind of, wanting to meet them in person and stuff like that and shake their hands. And I don't know, there's probably going to be a lot of people, a lot of auditors, and then a lot of other people that are not auditors. They're just, you know, subscribers and shit. And they'll probably attend. I don't know. At least that's what it was last year, anyway. Maybe I need to put a chunk of fucking a chunk of stuff in there. Keep this thing going. Put a chunk of that in there. Chunk of fat lighter in there to keep it going. Hold on, let me read the chat again. Hold on. Let's see here. Well, I'm a Florida native. Um, let's see here. Rogue sort of fell off after too many 3+ hour live streams. I heard you piss away money, not financially responsible with our donations. Oh. Who, me? I don't get donations. Nobody donates to me. Shit. Nobody donates to me. I don't have any way to donate to me. It would be kind of nice. I would love to be able to make money doing this shit. Oh, Rogue Nation. Uh, I don't know. I mean, there's some accusations that I mean, shit, Direct D has been talking a bunch of shit. I think he's going through some fucking like a like a crisis in his life or something. So he's been talking a lot of shit. Rice Krispies out there still. I mean, and I don't know. I don't know if he's going to show up or not. I like to meet him personally, face to face. That's one of the things about um, having having meetups like this, like Autopalooza and stuff. Um, it's nice to actually um, meet face to face with all these people. I haven't paid attention to Direct D. Uh, he's been going through some he's been going through some kind of a crisis or something, man, lately. But I don't know what's going on with him. But he's been talking a lot of shit about a lot of people in the auditing um, world. Yeah, well, not everybody can not everybody can get along with everybody. And everybody's got their own thing going on, and everybody's got their own way of doing things, and you know, not everybody, not all personalities are copacetic with each other. So that shit happens. And I agree. We do. We as Americans, that are um, striving to continue to keep freedom in this world. You know what I mean? Actually, under all this fucking bullshit, fucking contract shit that the corporation calling itself the government has placed in, put us all into, and basically programmed us, all in this shit for couple hundred years. Freedom is an illusion at the moment. It's like we haven't had true freedom in this nation. Um, you know, since before the Civil War, quite honestly. Yeah, fuck Chile, man. Honestly, man, Chile needs to just stick what he's good at, which is fucking, you know, uh, pointing at his fucking wallpaper and, citing case law, because quite honestly, man, that was the only thing he was ever good at back in the day. You know what I mean? Uh, Chile just went fucking weird when he started getting out doing shit. Yeah, you know, back when he used to just have that wallpaper up and he was citing, case law and shit like that, and that was the only thing here, I think Chili was ever good at, honestly. Now he just wants to be uh, a personality, you know what I mean? His ego and pride and all that shit's gotten in the way, you know. Unfortunately, a lot of people are like that too. I mean, they want to be famous. They want to be they want to be a rock star, a movie star, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? or some, what's up, Tate? Lurking around, I'm suffering. Oh, surfing around and waiting. Hey, and Tate, just to let you know, I'm probably not going to do a very long live stream. I'm going to probably open up the speakeasy backstage when I close it down. So, I'm not going to do a very long one tonight live. So if you're around, um, come on back up to the speakeasy if you want to. Well, yeah, when it comes down to Chile and going into court, quite honestly, he just doesn't fucking know as much as he fucking thought he knew. He didn't understand exactly what he was getting into. Um, you know, that's the thing that so many people don't understand the reality of what the court system is. And how it's no longer common law. It's all this admiralty maritime law. And ever since basically the fucking Trading with the Enemy Act back in the day, um, the 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 federal part, or uh, considers every fucking everybody in America basically an enemy, or so that's why cops look at every single citizen out, every civilian out there pretty much as like a potential criminal. It doesn't matter. And then and then when it comes down to it, also, the system is set up to the point where they don't want any of us to be, self-governing, self-reliant, self-responsible, and all this other shit, simply because the system wants all of us working for it, and dependent on it. So, I mean, hell, you look what, a fine example is what happened to Ruby in Ruby Ridge. You know what I mean? That's a fine example of, government saying, no, you guys cannot be self-sufficient. You cannot live off the grid. You have to be dependent on us, and we will make you, or we will fucking kill you. You know, that's the bottom line. The system that has been put in place 230 some odd years ago, um, uh, is willing to murder us if we don't sit down and play their game that they fucking make the rules for and they control. You know, it's yeah, right on. I enjoy sitting out here, man. I guess, man, because the government's been so called, whatever, the government never shuts down, but it has been kind of interesting for the past couple of days. The skies have been extremely clear, so they haven't been spraying the skies up there, which is, I guess, when they shut the government down, they stopped spraying the fucking skies. But it's been extremely clear here for the past few days, at least, anyway. We are criminals. We should be on. That's that's the viewpoint of the system, anyway. You know, that's definitely the viewpoint of the system. Because the amount of like thousands and thousands of these fucking statutes and shit they pile on top of stuff, and it's like, just walking out your house every fucking day, man, you're practically breaking some kind of law or some kind of statute. you know, if some of these freaks get their way, man, we'll be fucking being taxed just to breathe, you know. Ooh, shit, I just saw a certain star. That was cool. I wish on a shooting star. No. Oh. Martina, what's up? Well, I appreciate anybody coming in, just hanging out for a little bit or whatever. You know, this is just a pop up type of thing, man. I was over on somebody else's chat in their live stream, and they just closed it down, and they went backstage and shit. And I was going to go there, but I waited too long, and I lost the link. So I was like, "Fuck it, I'll just go ahead and start my own live and do a not a very long one, and then I'll open up my backstage and fucking sit back there during doing I'll open up the speakeasy and hang out back there for a while, and that'll be my morning, I guess. But you know, in America, I was like, hey, like I said, I'm hoping, probably tomorrow I'm gonna give Joe a call or something like that, or get him to call me or whatever, and fucking hopefully he's figuring out all the logistics and shit because like I said, I think he's so it's like a 15 or so hour drive from Chicago down here, and he's we're gonna work out some kind of like a motel room to stay in for a night, and like I think the meetup is I think Saturday. So I'm gonna try and meet up with Joe probably Friday evening sometime, maybe somewhere around there, and and then I don't know, or something. Not sure yet. Oh, you're in Chicago next Wednesday. Yeah, there's some crazy protests been going on up there too, man. Joe's been kind of doing some recording up there while he's been up there, and but he wasn't planning on coming down for the meetup and shit until just recently, man. He some things kind of worked out. What's up, Nana? Some things kind of worked out where somebody can house sit for him while he's gone, and so that kind of freed up some time for him, and and I've been kind of wanting to hang out with Joe for a little while now, and it just gives us a chance to hang out with each other and shit, and all that kind of stuff. And like I said, there's a bunch of the Florida people are gonna probably be up there for the meetup and shit. So that's gonna be good. And uh, just a bunch of people. So I don't know who's all going. I have no idea. But if it was anything like last year, there'll be a lot of people and a lot of food. Last year, I think they had like 3 or 4 grills going with a bunch of food and shit. So it should, it should be pretty good. Joe Cool, yeah, I think he went last year. Yeah, but this year I think he's going to get drunk as fuck. He wants to get drunk as fuck. Last year he didn't, but he was telling me it's like, yeah, this year I think I'm going to get drunk as fuck. And since I don't drink alcohol, I'll probably be the designated driver. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. No, Joey Surreal. I don't know. I don't know if he's going or not. I have no idea. I have no idea who's all going. I haven't even talked to John yet, you know, because it's going to be at his place, at his property and stuff. I haven't even talked to John yet. I've been meaning to, but I just haven't done it yet. But I haven't even talked to John about it yet. But like I said, I don't know who's all going and stuff. But it'd be nice, you know. I'm kind of looking forward to it. You know, like I said, this is probably going to be the last one, and Joe, you leaving out in the morning, bro? Okay, okay, cool. Man, just give me a call. Seriously, you know, so you know, so I can figure out like all, you know, what I need to do and shit like that. And get up with you. I was just sitting there thinking about it because Made in American was actually asking about what's going on. I'm kind of getting some stuff kind of prepared now. You know, I'm putting some food aside, you know, some food to bring with me just so I have something to eat. Otherwise, you know, like and all that shit. And then some drinks and shit like that, just so I have some, you know, bring my own drinks and stuff. Um, I've got a little bit of money, so I, you know, I have to worry about gas and all that stuff, and then fucking and cigarettes and shit. I don't know. I thought about maybe stop at the damn store and grab me some backwoods just for shits and giggles and see if you know, just in case anybody needs some backwoods. But other than that, you know, but yeah, just give me a call sometime whenever you get a chance, you know, on your way down, and so I, you know, I know when and where or whatever we can get up together and shit, or I don't know, however you want to do it, you know, because like I said, I'm pretty flexible on scheduling and shit, you know, so it'll be cool. I'm actually kind of looking forward to it, you know, because I mean, seriously, I think it'll be cool. Yeah, yeah. I mean, America, Joe. Yeah, Joe's definitely got one of those very distinct laughs. I mean, you could have a crowd of fucking people, and you can hear Joe laugh out of all of them. I mean, you know, it's like, oh shit, there's Joe right over there. You know. Right on, right on, right on. Yeah, like I said, you know, uh, give me a call whenever you get a chance, and we'll discuss all the details and shit like that. Like I said, I'm, you know, as it is right now, I'm just, you know, I got to clean out the back seat of my truck just in case for some reason, you know, because I got a bunch of shit in the back seat of my truck, and just clean out that thing, man, and you know, um, bring a couple of drinks and stuff, so I have something to drink because I don't drink alcohol, and I don't want to depend on everybody else supplying, you know, drinks and fucking. And like if I get hungry when we're not out there at the meetup or whatever, you know, I'll bring some fucking ramen noodles or some shit, you know, to fucking to munch on, and bring enough fucking, you know, you know, 2 or 3 packs of cigarette. Well, probably all I need is probably like 2 packs of cigarettes, but bring a few packs of cigarettes and shit, and at the moment I got a full tank of gas, so I'm all right there. You know, I think it'll be good. It'll be good, man. It'll be good. I can't even send you a super. No, you can't. No, dude. I'm not monetized. That's fine, Joe. That's fine. Like I said, man, I'm okay with being the designated driver since I don't drink alcohol. I'm okay with that. You know, um, you know, I'm a pretty good driver when it comes down. I could be fucking fucked up on LSD and I'm still a damn good driver. It's just I don't. Alcohol and me. Alcohol's a drug that me don't really agree with me. I never really. Uh, that's just one of the drugs that I just can't. That doesn't really get along with me. So I mean, I'm good with that. I don't mind. And like I said, I mean, just in case, like if it happens to be, more than just me and you, I'm gonna empty out the back seat of the truck just in case, let's see here. I don't fully understand where you are going, but it sounds fun. Oh, it's Autopalooza. Autopalooza is, Latinas Autopalooza. Oh, it's just us, right on. Yeah, I wasn't. I was just gonna fucking uh, empty it out just for shits and giggles anyway. Because I could probably put the cooler back there and shit. You know. I don't know. I'm just thinking ahead, Joe, just in case. I'm just thinking ahead, just in case. We don't. I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know. You know, whatever. I don't know. But so I'm just thinking ahead. But it's Autopalooza, Latina. Uh, where it's over at John Felix's place. A bunch of the auditors, a bunch of auditors and First Amendment auditors and shit like that. Maybe even just some fans um, are going to go to this like a meetup, what I would call a meetup, and stuff like that. To kind of get some food on the grill and sit back and talk and shit like that. Yeah, Autopalooza. It's like I said, it's just like a meetup for a lot of these First Amendment, a lot of the First Amendment auditors or the cop watchers and shit like that. And I think this is going to, from what John was saying, this is probably going to be the last one. They had like one last year, and then I think they had one the year before that, and this year I think is going to be the last one. And I've been talking to Joe, Joe Cool. I've been talking to Joe Cool for a while. I was like, I was thinking because he for a while there he wasn't thinking he was going to be able to come on down because he's going to be up in Chicago and shit. And so and then I was just I didn't really know if I was going to go either. But then things happened to work out where he was going to be able to come down. So I'm like, me and Joe are gonna kind of meet up and then go down to the meetup and shit like that and hang out and that'll be fun. You know, it kind of reminds me of the radio stuff. On my CB radio shit. Like every so often, a lot of the radio people that I've known for years talking to on the radio, we would have like a meetup. We'd all get together and kind of hang out. Sometimes, we bring radio equipment to kind of like have like a swap meet type of shit. And it's actually kind of nice because, you know, I mean, I could be talking to somebody on the radio for years and never met them face to face. You know what I mean? And it's just nice, to have like meetups like that where, you can actually meet that person you've been talking to for years face to face and have like face to face conversations and shit. And that's pretty cool. And these type of things, like like Autopalooza or any, any type of meetup like that, it's nice on that end of it too, because a lot of these First Amendment auditors and cop watchers all over the country and shit that put content like that kind of stuff on YouTube have never met each other face to face. You know what I mean? And meetups like this gives that chance, in my opinion. It gives that chance for people to meet up and sit there and pick each other's brain and shit like that. I think that's a cool thing. Because I mean, honestly, man, there is kind of sometimes, you know, not all personalities get along and shit like that. And there happens to be all this fucking, you know, it ends up being kind of like YouTube drama sometimes between, um, people that are trying to somewhat make a difference or at least just document fucking the downfall of America. uh, you know, trying to get this damn wood to fucking catch on fire, man. It's not fucking happening all that way. Let's see here what's going on. I would love to hit up Autopalooza, but I've been spending all my money on her. Yeah, I hear you. I mean, I really don't even have that much money either. You know what I'm saying? Um, if it wasn't for Joe, I mean, I'd have to pay to go. I mean, Joe's gonna, um, you know, kind of bring me in as a guest, and so that kind of cool. But because I don't really have a whole lot of income coming in myself, so I've been just kind of sitting in. But I just sold a couple of items on Facebook Marketplace the other day, so I have a little cash on me, so I don't have to worry about my gas money getting back there and getting there up there and back and all that shit. So that's going to be good. I don't have to worry about that at least, and then whatever else that I might need to purchase while I'm out there. And then plus it's like not even that far away. It's about 2 hours, depending on how fast I drive, to get out to John's place. And Joe, Joe's got a fucking 15 or so hour drive from Chicago down here. So oh man, golly, uh, I feel for him on that end of it, man. That's a long drive. Yeah, nationwide constitutional carry. I don't know. We as Americans shouldn't have to fight for that shit. That should be something that's already there. It's written in the fucking Constitution, man. But unfortunately, that the system that's been put in place ever since the fucking Civil War, um, they wiped their ass of the Constitution. You know what I mean? Because quite honestly, the corporation posing as the government, it's got its own constitution. Doesn't give a shit about the Constitution of the United States of America. It doesn't give a shit about it. That's the reason why we continually have to fucking fight the very government that is supposed to ensure and protect our natural rights, because they don't give a flying fuck. Got to fucking blow on my wood just to keep it going. Yeah, I mean, you're right on. We've been sold out long time ago, so say, honestly. Hell, the fucking federal government technically went bankrupt and we were bought out and we were bought out a long time ago. Sold out. You know? Fucking foreign countries, foreign fucking um foreign governments are dictating a lot of shit here in this nation. And that's just not how this America is supposed to be. I mean, you got fucking um you know, the fucking Zionist fucking crap over in Israel fucking dictating a lot of shit. The UN dictating a lot of shit. The WEF dictating a lot of shit. The Club of Rome dictating shit. The fucking, was it Council of Foreign Affairs, the fucking Royal Institute of International Affairs, the Trilateral Commission, the fucking Bilderberg Group. These are the ones that are dictating how shit happens here in America. And these are foreign entities fucking controlling our nation. And that should never have happened. And that needs to stop fucking immediately. I mean, cold fucking turkey from this shit. But, too many of the corrupt fuck. I mean, seriously, you got 98% of the goddamn fucking Congress, or not 98% of the goddamn government anyway, the ones that make all the fucking shit, dual citizenship with fucking Israel and fucking, and they're, I mean, you can't be loyal to the American people when you got dual citizenship, I mean, and then on top of that, it's like, you got all these foreign born fuckers in government making legislation, all these people up there with communist mentality fucking making legislation. All this shit needs to fucking stop. I mean, literally, it needs to stop. Cold turkey this shit, man, because it should never be there in the first place. They're telling us we have to protect ourselves. Yeah, from the very fucking government that's fucking supposed to be protecting us. That we put in there, that we supposedly think is supposed to be there to protect us. Back up there. Dang, man. It's taking me fucking. Maybe I need to put a big ass fucking piece of fucking fat lighter in there. Maybe that'll work. Put a big fucking piece of fat lighter in there, and that'll stay lit for a little while longer. Latino, yeah. Well, the people, the powers that should not be, they don't really see that, that, because they think they are our masters and rulers, not the other way around. How America is supposed to be, and how, you know what I mean. Um, there's too many big players. This is a worldwide thing, also, because I mean, this is just trying to bring in the new world order, but and we're just another piece of the puzzle when it comes down to their control over every fucking thing. They want to control all the resources of this fucking planet, and we, the people of the planet, are some of those resources. We're a resource to them, so they can live fat and happy off of our sweat and our uh our labor. And it's one of them things. And quite honestly, until, not only here in America, but the people of this fucking planet, wake up to the fact, and wake up out of the matrix pods, and fucking see reality for what it is, instead of what we've been programmed to believe. You know what I mean? That's one of the biggest things, the biggest problems, is there's so many people that believe certain things. You can believe whatever the fuck you want, but that's not the truth, and that's not knowing. Belief is always in conflict and the enemy of knowing. And actually waking up from the matrix, from the slumber in the matrix, is that becomes knowing. Once you actually see the reality and the truth, and we all, as people on this fucking planet, start, when we actually do. And because quite honestly, the 1% of the planet that want to be our masters and rulers of this fucking entire fucking planet, um we outnumber them. And until we can actually awaken everybody from the matrix, they'll continue to control us and keep us plugged in. I was sitting there having a conversation with somebody about taxes and stuff. And he's like, I'm okay with paying my 70 some odd dollars and stuff like that in taxes and stuff. I'm like, I'm sitting here thinking, you are fucking delusional if you think only 70 some odd dollars in taxes is all you fucking pay. You're fucking delusional. You're taxed being taxed. Your taxes being taxed. Every goddamn thing, every fucking thing that happens in your life has a fucking tax added onto it. So, you know, uh, and the very people that are, saying that they're fine with it or okay with being taxed and stuff like that. It doesn't fucking matter if you're fine with it or okay with it. You got no fucking choice, because you got a government gun on your fucking head if you don't. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't matter if you're fucking fine with it or okay with it. It doesn't fucking matter, because you got no goddamn choice in the matter anyway. You know, because the powers that should not be, they don't want us to realize that we have the option to opt out. They want us all to believe and either compel us or coerce us or force us at the point of a fucking government gun into um, complying and submitting and fucking um, uh, just fucking accepting their rule. And there's too many people out there that are just fine with being extorted, because they feel like, well, shit, I'm okay with having a little bit of my fucking wealth extorted from me, because the alternative is they'll just take everything I have. So I'll let them take a little bit just so they don't take everything. That's just fucking bullshit, man. That right there is just like, that's nothing but, that's like the fucking, you know, walking down the street and have this, mugger coming up to you. I mean, oh, I'm fine. That's fine. Here, I'll give you what's in my wallet. You know what I mean? I'm okay with giving you what's in my wallet, because if I don't give you what's in my wallet, you'll come to my house and take everything I have. So, uh, to keep myself and keep all my shit that I've got, everything I have, you know, uh, I'll just give you what's in my wallet. What's up, conspiracy queen? Um, so I mean, it's one of them things. It's like, too many people um accept the extortion because they don't want that same fucking uh mugger to take everything from them. It's just one of them things, dude. You know, I'll give you an example. I used to work this job. See, I do not have a bank account. And, I until just recently I got a debit card through another employer because they did direct deposit, but they provided the debit card. But I had this one job where I was getting paper checks and stuff like that, and that's what I prefer. I prefer getting a paper check so I can cash it and get my cash, and I'm done with it. I don't want it. I don't want a bank account. I don't want anything to do with banks, quite honestly. But the company was, they wanted to kind of transition into to direct deposit. So at first, it was voluntary. It was like, well, we're going to give you the option. You can have either direct deposit or you can continue getting paper checks. Well, I mean, I'm one of the ones in the company that wanted to get, I wanted to continue getting paper checks. But when they started that thing, like I said, it was all voluntary and it was an option, either or. But so many people in the company wanted to opt in on direct deposit. So the owner of the company just said, "Well, shit, since majority of people in the company are taking direct deposit, we'll just eliminate paper checks altogether, and we'll just make it to where everybody has to have direct deposit. You don't have a choice anymore." Well, me standing on my ground meant that I ended up quitting that fucking job. I mean, it was a job. It wasn't like the best job in the world. I mean, it was a paying job, but I was like, well, I'm not going to go out and get a bank account just because you guys want to do direct deposit, and you're not offering some kind of like a deal for the direct deposit where you provide like a debit card to do it with. You're expecting me to go out and open up my own bank account and all that shit and do all this stuff. Well, I ended up quitting. Um, I think this is how it will be into the near future. Um, when it comes down to like the digital ID, the digital currency, and all that stuff, they'll um, they'll they'll try and put it out at the beginning as like an option. You can do this or not. It's voluntary, all that shit, and and then you know, because nothing in government is voluntary. Nothing ever in government is fucking temporary. You know, it always becomes mandatory. It always becomes fucking permanent. So that's how they'll push it in there. They'll they'll push companies or stuff like that to or they'll like mandate or whatever. They'll push companies into to you know complying with like digital currency or digital ID and shit. Next thing you know, those companies will be requiring their employees to get uh digital currency or digital ID and stuff just to continue working. And then it will come down to um people, employees making that same decision that I had when it come down to the direct deposit scenario. It's either, keep your job and get the digital ID or quit. That's why I put that little question meme type of thing. It was like not a meme, but it was more like a question on my community tab. Like, okay, it's Monday morning and you come in and your bosses say, well, you're going to have this new um, microchip, and we're going to require you to get a microchip to continue working here. And then the question was, what would you do? And it's pretty it's pretty cool to see that almost every comment on that was they would quit or they would tell them to fuck off or or tell them to fuck off and take a huge shit on the fucking boss's desk and walk the fuck out, that kind of thing. It's kind of nice to see that majority of people on the comments said that, but in reality, in practice, I'm not sure how many people in America, for instance, will, stand on that principle, stand on that fucking, stand on your ground, and and um and quit their fucking job if they are um if they are forced to get digital ID or anything like that just to continue working. I know there's going to be a lot of people. I mean, you looked at what happened with the fucking um, the crap in the arm shit. How many people opted into keeping their job and getting the fucking shit in the arm just to keep their job? I mean, there was quite a few people out there who said, fuck it. They quit their job when their job was like, well, you're going to have to get the fucking crap in the arm or you're going to, you're not going to be able to work here any longer. Well, some of them did. They said, fuck it. I'm going to quit and blah, blah, blah. But a lot of people did it, you know. It'll be the same kind of thing when it comes down to the digital ID. And that's going to be a problem because if they can, in their minds, if they can get, enough people to sign up for it and get the digital ID, they think they can just like basically make it mandatory, because I can't remember the dude's name, but over in the UK or wherever and they've said, well, you will not be able to work in the UK unless you have a digital ID. You will not be able to have a job unless you have a digital ID. So I was like, that's how they'll fucking play it here in America to push that shit here in America. It's like, they'll try and mandate each state to comply, and each state, if they comply, then they will force companies all over in those states to comply with state mandate. And those companies will try and force the employees. And it comes down to that, where the employees, that's how the system has been set up in this nation, that we, the people in America, are not the bosses. We are the employees of the federal and state government. That's how they look at us, and that's how they treat us, and that's how they'll play it off. Like, we're just the employees, and you either do what we say or you won't be able to make a living, you know. And that's the thing. It's like, when it comes down to it, you know, and if I wouldn't say the majority, I'd say, let's say the 51% all complied with it. It's like, that's what democracy looks like, the 51% telling the 49% what to fucking do. And that's what ends up happening. If the 51% of the fucking population all are on board with it or comply, the 49% either finds a different way where we can live outside of their system, or we will be forced at gunpoint to comply with what the 51% says. It doesn't fucking matter, Latina. It doesn't fucking, hell, flock cameras out here all over the fucking United States is a fucking violation of the Fourth Amendment. But that doesn't fucking stop them from fucking sticking them up everywhere. The government, or the powers that should not be, don't give a shit about the fucking Constitution except what benefits them. Because technically, the fucking district of fucking criminals, they all have their own constitution that they abide by. And honestly, they're also being controlled by foreign entities like Israel and like fucking the WHF, the WEF, the fucking, WHO and the WEF, the fucking Trilateral Commission, the fucking Club of Rome. That's what's really controlling this nation and the people up in this fucking positions of government, which is technically a corporation. Because that corporation was bought and paid for a long time ago, and we were sold out a long time ago. So, quite honestly, that thing that they call the Bill of Rights and all that other shit doesn't mean shit to them. That's why they fucking violate it all the goddamn time. Traffic stops. Traffic stops is a good example when it comes down to the violation of the Fourth Amendment right there. They consider traffic code superior to the Constitution of our Bill of Rights, because when you get stopped by a cop, you practically, the Fourth Amendment doesn't exist in that moment. So they don't give a flying fuck. They really don't. So that's just the reality of it. That's not, I'm not sugarcoating it either. You know what I'm saying? That's just the reality of how it happens in practice, how it happens actually in practice, not all this belief system shit. We can all believe that we've got the Fourth Amendment and all that other stuff, and it's supposed to be protected, blah, 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 blah. We believe this because it's what we've been told, but in practice, it's just not a reality. They don't give a flying fuck. Like I said, remember Ruby Ridge. This is a fucking family that were just trying to live off grid and be self-sufficient, and the fucking government didn't like it, so they fucking went in there and murdered them. Not all of them, but they murdered his fucking child. They murdered his wife right there, standing in the fucking doorway, holding the infant in her arms, unarmed, and they fucking shot her in the goddamn head. And all they did wrong was, in the government's eyes, was try to live off the grid and self-sufficient, away from government fucking hands. That's it. And same thing with Ruby Ridge. But Waco, I mean, it's, oh my God. I mean, you look at what happened to LaVoy Finnegan. LaVoy Finnegan got fucking murdered on the side of the goddamn road in the snow because he was speaking out. And have you ever noticed through history the ones that are actually speaking out against tyranny and getting more and more people to agree with them are the ones that end up getting fucking murdered by the very fucking tyranny that they were speaking out against? All through history. I'll start with Jesus. All right. Look at Gandhi. You look at Malcolm X. You look at fucking, all these fucking people through history. Fucking Charlie Kirk. I mean, look at all these goddamn people through fucking history that were speaking against the tyranny and all this other shit. And people were starting to wake up to the reality and the facts. They fucking just murder them, because the powers that should not be are willing to go scorched earth and rule over the fucking ashes. So the question becomes, what are we willing to do? Go along to get along? Continue to just comply? Try and believe that your vote fucking means something? That's where it's at. Because that's what they want you. I mean, they just want obedient fucking workers. They don't really give a shit about your fucking, you know. And like I said, I'm not trying to be a fucking dick, but I just have a habit of being very straightforward and blunt about shit. I'm so sick and tired of fucking sugarcoating this shit when it comes down, or people sugarcoating it, and making this shit out to be like it's not that bad, you know. Oh, we're freer than other countries. Oh, fuck off, man. Other countries are not the litmus test of how free we are. I'm so sick and tired of that fucking argument. Oh, we gotta pay taxes. We gotta have government, man. We have to have a rule. We have to be governed. You know what I mean? You know, it fucking pisses me off. If we cannot govern ourselves, what makes anybody think that a few select people can govern millions? If we can't even govern ourselves, you know, what makes these motherfucking billionaires and these fucking, world quote unquote leaders fucking, or in the experts and shit like that, well, I don't understand why people think that these motherfuckers know better than, how we should live our lives than we do. You know what I mean? But they think that they know better. They think that they know better on how we should live, you know, because they think that they're smarter than us. They've got more money than us. So therefore, they are better than us. That's how they see it. They don't look at us as equals. They look at us as fucking peasants. They look at us as goddamn fucking their meal ticket. That's what they think of us. They don't look at us as equals. And we sure as hell shouldn't look at them as equals because they're not. They're fucking psychopaths. And they're willing to murder us if they don't get their fucking way. So, like I said, comes down to each of us asking ourselves, what are we willing to do? If they're willing to murder you, what are you willing to do? Well, yeah, yes, it has taken years to get where we are today, and it will take years to get back to a better place. Well, that's no shit, Latina. It's actually taken us about a couple of thousand years to get where we are now. But yeah, and quite honestly, man, if we all just here, I'm just speaking just for America, but quite honestly, it's a worldwide thing. But just here in America, if every single fucking person in America was to wake up out of the matrix right fucking now, at the minimum, it would take us a generation at least to get to a better place. Okay. Because quite honestly, like for instance, I think the um, only way is through anarchy. All right. And because everything other than anarchy is slavery. Anarchy is the only true freedom. If we were all to wake up out of the matrix right now and live in anarchy, live as, free people, it would take us about, at the minimum, a generation to get some headway, you know. So it's not going to happen overnight because where we are now hasn't happened overnight. I mean, shit, it's taken a couple of thousand years to get where we are now. Because quite honestly, I mean, you think about it. Even when Jesus was alive, motherfucking, Caesar was in power. That's still another fucking government that was, some fucking asshole that believed that they have the moral right to rule over others and everyone else has the obligation to obey. So this has been going on for thousands of years. You know what I mean? We didn't get here overnight. So, it's not going to take us overnight to get to where we need to go, but if we were all to like actually, like a switch to be flipped right fucking now, and all of us all at the same time simultaneously just fucking woke up and fucking realized that we were in the matrix and we unplugged ourselves and we fucking were living in the reality, it would literally take us at the minimum a generation to get out and get some headway and to get back to what we were supposed to be, as because we're not put on this fucking planet to sit here and work a goddamn job and pay taxes and die. That's not what we're put on this fucking planet for. But that's what they want us here for, because that's what they think that we're all, we're just cattle to them, to these psychopaths, you know. So they don't give a flying fuck of how we see things. They don't give a shit about these fucking protests. They don't give a crap because, quite honestly, they're still sitting on the fucking front porch of those plantation houses and sitting back and drinking their sweet tea, rocking in their rocking chairs, watching all of us fight amongst ourselves and in voting for the next plantation master that comes to fucking rule over them and shit. They don't give a shit. They just sitting there laughing at us, dude. They don't give a crap. I do need to fucking make some air holes in my fucking my fire pit to get a little bit more airflow in there. I don't think American Indians lived in anarchy because they were organized tribes. All right. Latina, I mean, if you actually knew what, I mean, honestly, if you actually knew the true meaning of anarchy, and the to get to a I don't know, a basic idea. It's voluntarism, and then on top of that, it's also the non-aggression principle, and it's also the true meaning of anarchy is no masters, no rulers. Even in those tribes and shit. Yeah, they might have had an elder and stuff like that that they but it wasn't like they were forced at gunpoint or at the fucking point of a spear to to exist in that fucking tribe. All right, and yeah, there was wars and stuff between tribes and shit, but that was mostly because over different things, like for instance, territory, or it was, but they still had what I call like free trade in a sense, because you know they existed amongst other tribes, and they traded amongst those other tribes and shit, and that's a form of anarchy because it's voluntary. It's not done at the point of a goddamn spear or a point of a gun. That's the difference. But yes, it was a form of anarchy. We also participate in forms of anarchy in our everyday lives. Going to the grocery store is a form of anarchy. All right, I'll give you an example. For instance, a grocery store, or like some kind of kind of something like that, like a farmer's market, or like a vegetable stand or something like that. All right, nobody forces these people to open up like a vegetable stand. Nobody's forced them to do that. All right. So what they do is they'll open up a bit, this like thing where they try to create commerce or whatever, trade of their own products or their own services, and they're doing this on a voluntary basis. All right, because nobody's forcing them to do this. All right, and then on top of that, the people that actually want to conduct commerce or purchase their produce, which is basically their products or their services, is at a voluntary scenario also. All right, so whoever opens up that vegetable stand is doing it on their own terms. They're not being forced at the point of a gun to do it. And the people that are going in there to buy that produce is not being forced at the point of a gun to do it. They're doing it in a voluntary system. That's that free trade, that free commerce between those two people. All right, that's a voluntary system. That's a form of anarchy right there. All right. You participate in anarchy right there. That's what that is. All right. I'll give you another example. What anarchy looks like. You remember when the Hurricane Helene came through and wiped out a bunch of shit over there in North Carolina? All right. And you got all these people, just regular fucking citizens, regular fucking people coming together to help, like clear roads. They're taking their own money, their own fucking time, and their own fucking sweat to fucking like do stuff like bring supplies in, or fucking help people get off the goddamn mountain because they were trapped, or fucking clear roads from fucking debris. And they're doing it without the help of government, and at times in spite of government. That is what true anarchy looks like. All right. And this is what I don't, there's so many people that, I mean, I'm not trying to, point this, at you, Latina, but I'm just saying on general, because over time, the rulers and masters want people to believe that anarchy is a form of chaos. But in a way, it is chaos to the rulers and masters, because they're no longer your rulers and masters. So in their eyes, that is chaos. But what it is true freedom of the people. because that's the reason why the rulers and masters want to give everybody this bad, taste in their mouth by giving it a negative connotation of what anarchy is, because they want to continue to be your masters and your rulers. They want you to continue to be their slave. They don't want you to have this option to opt out of their system, and be true, free people. All right. That's the reason why, like I said, that was the reason, Ruby Ridge. I mean, not Ruby Ridge, but Waco. Well, Ruby Ridge also, but Waco, they were living in true anarchy. They were living off the grid. They were being self-sufficient out in the middle of the guy. They were fucking 20, I don't know, 20 miles away from the nearest town, doing their own goddamn thing. Hey, the fucking government doesn't want that. They want you to be dependent on the government. They want you to be fucking either working for it or dependent on it or both. And then when you become self-sufficient, you're no longer under their thumb. They don't want that. So the masters and rulers don't want anarchy. They want you to continue to be the fucking slave. And that's the reason why I'm just showing examples what true anarchy looks like. All right. And like I said, they want to paint anarchy as this is like Molotov cocktails and shit like that getting, that's all bullshit. I mean, yeah, it might come down to that in self-defense, because the powers that should not be, they're willing to go scorched earth and murder you if you don't continue to be their slave. So yeah, it might come down to Molotov cocktails in self-defense. Because quite honestly, self-defense can be very fucking violent. And violence can be used for good. All right. The powers that should not be, these psychopaths that are claiming to be governments and kingdoms and empires and shit, do not have the monopoly on violence. But they want to have the monopoly on violence. They want to continue to have the monopoly on violence and keep all of us subservient and domesticated fucking animals. That's how they've been playing it for thousands of years, man. They use fear, they use violence to keep everybody in complacent fucking compliance. That's how it's been. Until we revolt in self-defense. Because I don't think we need a revolution. A revolution is a 360 degrees. When you do a revolution, you go in a full circle. So a revolution just ends you up back right where you started. So we don't need a revolution. We need a revolt and an evolution. We basically need to eliminate the base operating system that has been put in place for thousands of years and replace it with a new operating system, which is anarchy. That's how I see it. I know my idea is not the popular idea, because too many people have been programmed in believing that anarchy is the wrong way to go. And it's fucking like, oh, this utopian type of thing. It's not utopia. There's no such thing as a utopia. A lot of people want to fucking sit there and play out like socialism is utopia. You know what I mean? That's why there's so many people trying to fucking make socialism like it's the next best thing since sliced fucking bread. There's equity and everything like that. Everybody gets an equal share and blah, blah, blah to their needs and stuff like that. It's all fucking communism and socialism and shit. But that is nothing but slavery to a small group of fucking psychopaths. And self-governance, self-reliance, and all that other shit is much more in harmony with nature and with the creator. The shit that they've been pushing onto us for the fucking thousands of years is against the creator. It's against it. It's an opposite. Hold on, I'm trying to read the chat. Hold on. Yeah, and you know, Latino, yeah, they did not, and that was another thing too. Um, the family in Waco, they were a part of more people that were on the same fucking level of trying to achieve their own form of, you know, their own idea of what true anarchy, true freedom off of the system to opt out, and all that stuff. And the system didn't want them doing that. They were actually there were them and the other people that were in their group were opening more and more eyes to the truth, and they can't have that. It's like, I'm gonna tell you guys right now, and I'm gonna say this out here on the live stream right now in the public right now. I am not suicidal. I like to live. I'm not scared of death, but I like to live. So if I end up fucking dead with 2 bullets in the back of my head and they claim it was a suicide, I'm gonna tell you right now, that's all bullshit. They fucking murdered me for speaking out and trying to open people's eyes to the truth. All right. If I just go missing one day and fucking, and you guys find out that, some crazy fucking accident happened, you know, that's that's the powers that should not be trying to shut me up, because they have a 3-step process to shut people up. You know, one is to cancel them in the public eye. Basically, you know, get them just canceled in the public eye and all this. That's the first step. That doesn't shut you up. The second step is to trump up some fucking charges and put you in fucking prison for a long time. If that doesn't shut you up, they'll just fucking flat out murder you. All right. That's a 3-step process that they have. They've done over and over and over and over and over again. You know? I mean, it's a fucking playbook that they've been doing for so long, and it's worked. And it's worked for so long. They'll just keep on doing it. They'll just keep on doing it until we all fucking stand up and you know, put their heads on the chopping block or something. You know what I'm saying? I mean, kind of like you know, do to the powers that should not be what Vlad the Impaler did, you know, and put it all out there in the public for the public to see. And for all those fucking psychopaths that 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 think they are our masters and rulers and they can do whatever they want, be like a message to all of them. You try this again, this is what will happen, because this is exactly what they would do to us. They do it all the time. They'll, oh, you want to sit there and you want to be a free person and all that stuff? Okay. Well, you know, we'll do this to you. Next thing you know, we'll use that as like, okay, a message to everyone else out there. You want to live free and all that shit? Well, this is what's going to happen to you if you want to do that, and they've done it over and over and over again. Well, until we do the exact same thing to them, practically put their fucking heads on a pike and display it for all the psychopaths to see. And it's like as a message to say, hey, um, you try and do this shit. This is the punishment. And you know, because I mean that's the reason. That's another reason why cops they get away with so much shit, because they're not held personally liable for their actions. They're not held uh, punishable for their actions. You know, that's why, you know, I think lawsuits and shit like that against like a sheriff's department or a police department or a fucking county or whatever doesn't do a goddamn thing, because guess who pays that fucking lawsuit settlement? The very citizens of that area. So we pay the fucking the settlement for the mistakes or whatever that the cops or the government officials do. They never get to pay any of it. They don't get personally held responsible for any of their actions. And it's the same thing when it goes to all the way up to the federal part of the government or whatever. It doesn't matter until they start getting held personally responsible and punished, and used that as a fucking message to the rest of the fuckers out there, you know, as saying like, okay, we're not going to stand for this shit, and you guys must obey the supreme law of the land. You must obey it, or you will be swiftly and immediately and punished by the maximum penalty. You know what I'm saying? Fuck all this fucking slap on the wrist shit. You know what I mean? No, maximum fucking penalty. And that may be, in some cases, depending, it might be death. Because technically, I mean, you know, you got, what was it, 18 USC 242 and 241. The maximum penalty under that statute or that fucking US code, if it doesn't matter if you're a government official or not, the maximum penalty for that US code, or those two US codes, for instance, is death. And there's plenty of fucking people through government that they're dead and gone now. But even the ones that are in government now are literally traitors to the American people. And the penalty for treason is fucking death. But the only problem is, it's like, you know, when government investigates itself, they always find no wrongdoing. That's why we, the people, need our own enforcement to force these motherfucking government officials, no matter if it all the way from the tippy top down to the fucking bottom. We need our own enforcement to force these motherfuckers to comply and obey the supreme law of the land. And if you don't, you will be swiftly and immediately punished to the maximum penalty. That's the way it needs to be, and that's the way it's supposed to be. That's the way it's supposed to be in this fucking nation. But that's just like I said, it's like, you know, it got all fucked up pretty much right after the Civil War. Actually, I blame Lincoln, honestly. But, you know, right after the Civil War, it really got really fucked up for all of us in this nation, because they've been fucking plotting against us ever since. Because, I mean, we were more free as separate fucking nations. That's what each state is, its own country. And when they brought us all together in this fucking union, it fucked us all. You know, it fucked us all. You know, the 13th Amendment and the fucking 16th Amendment made us all fucking basically slaves, you know, all of us. They ignore the, you know, our right to travel in this fucking nation that's under the Constitution, Fourth Amendment of the Constitution, the 14th Amendment of the Constitution. They flat out ignore that, and they force us into a contract with a driver's license. They force us into a contract with a birth certificate. They force us into a contract with a social security card. You know, so this is all bullshit. They force us into fucking using fiat currency, which is this petrodollar shit, when the only constitutional money is gold and silver. It's written in the fucking Constitution. So if we were supposed to be living with the Constitution, we need to start forcing these fucking government officials to abide by the supreme law of the land, or be punished to the, you know, maximum fucking penalty. But until that happens, we're just going to continue to be fucking slaves to the matrix. will continue to be that way, and it will get worse and worse and worse. Like I said, the surveillance state is getting worse and worse and worse. I mean, like I said, the flock cameras and stuff, those flocks cameras and shit popping up everywhere around the goddamn fucking nation. A lot of times it's the damn the county officials or and all that shit don't even realize it or even never even voted on it. The people of those fucking counties never fucking voted on it. It just does it anyway. They're doing it anyway against our consent, against our goddamn permission, you know, because they don't care. The flock cameras are a violation of our Fourth Amendment, but they don't give a shit. And quite honestly, man, when it comes down to Supreme Court, the Supreme Court is technically fucking about 10 years behind technology. So they've got a fucking they got 10 years, they got a 10-year fucking buffer basically to basically the technology gets invented and put out there and all this stuff. And now they're like 10 years behind fucking saying, wait a minute, this is not right. You can't do this. You know what I'm saying? That kind of shit, or having any kind of case law or any of that shit. They don't give a flying fuck. They can, they live by these psychopaths, the powers that shall not be. They live by the code of we'll ask for forgiveness, not permission. That's how they live. They'll ask for forgiveness, not permission. All right, they'll just do whatever the fuck they want. And when they get caught, they're like, "Oh, can you please forgive us? We're sorry." You know what I mean? They don't even bother even fucking ask on our permission when we're supposed to be the fucking masters of this goddamn nation, not the fucking government. We, the people, are the ones that created it, not the other way around. The government didn't create us and didn't create this fucking nation. We did. Our fucking the people, our goddamn fucking ancestors, my ancestors fought for freedom. But unfortunately, the fucking Yankees and that wanted the Union to continue, declared themselves the fucking winners, and they've declared themselves, and they've declared the fucking Union to be fucking, it's the continuity of government. Because quite honestly, this legal fiction called government wants nothing more than they don't want anything else but the continuity of government. And it will use any means necessary in their arsenal to keep that continuity. And that means if they have to, they'll murder us. I mean, that's just reality. That's not conspiracy theory. That's fucking reality, man. So, like I said, when it comes down to it, when they are willing to basically go scorched earth on all of us, if we don't comply, I mean, what was it? 600 million. Like, I'll give you an example. This is another country. Like I said, the digital ID shit. This is in Vietnam. I was like 600 million people in fucking Vietnam did not want digital ID. Well, what they did is they just shut their bank accounts down. They just fucking click of the mouse, boom, all their fucking bank accounts are shut down. You don't want to comply with digital ID? Fucking, well, you ain't gonna be. You have no more money. What do you think they're gonna do here? You don't want digital ID? Oh shit, you're not going to be able to work. We might just shut your fucking bank account. You got no more money now. What are you going to do then? You going to comply? You going to get the digital ID? I'll be right back. I go get me another drink. I'll be right back. I apologize if I'm sounding a little rough for anybody out there that's got tender ears. I apologize, but sometimes people need a slap in the fucking face to wake the fuck up, but whatever. I don't know who needs to hear what I've got to say. I have no idea, but like I said, there are times I feel like I'm fucking, it's like a broken record because I've been saying this shit for fucking 30 goddamn years. Conspiracy theories are nothing but fucking spoiler alerts. They're, that's what conspiracy theories are. They're spoiler alerts. You know, hell, I've been fucking telling people a lot of this shit, man, for 30 goddamn years, trying to warn people of this and that and this and that, you know. And it's, like I said, I've said this before. It seems like I've been fucking beating my head against a brick fucking wall because nobody's fucking listening. Nobody's fucking paying attention. They're continuing to live under this goddamn fucking Stockholm syndrome bullshit. You know, and it fucking it frustrates me because I'm just like, God damn, dude. You know, when most people, I'd say most, I'd just say, I'd say, let's say the 51% continue to fucking just sit there and ignore it, for the 49% that might have their eyes open, we still got to live in this goddamn world. And the 51% want to force us into this fucking world that we don't want any part of, in this fucking system that we don't want any part of. And they want to put a gun to our goddamn head and force us into it. When we see the fucking truth and the reality, but the other 51% doesn't, and they're willing to just sit there and, I'm okay with paying taxes. I'm okay with fucking that. I'm fine with it. I don't give a shit if you're okay and fine with paying taxes. You got no goddamn choice. They'll put a fucking gun to your head if you don't fucking pay them. It doesn't matter if you're okay and fine with it. You don't got no fucking choice. In their eyes, in the powers that should not be, in their eyes, you don't have the option to opt out. I don't know, man. Just one of these things, man. Just one of these things. I've got to blow on my wood. I need somebody over here to blow on my wood and keep it going. I, was- I was sitting here waiting to see who would say something about that. I was wondering if anybody would fucking. I was wondering. Quit! Go away, girl. Go over there. Fucking get. I'm gonna burn your damn nose with my fucking cigarette and keep on coming over here like that. Haktua. Yeah. Haktua. That's where it's at. Just got to spit on it. just gotta spit on it, man. Gotta spit on it and blow on it a little bit. Get my wood hard and hot. What's up, Huckleberry? Haktua. Haktua. In about 10 minutes, y'all, I'm going to be at the 2 hour mark. In about 10 minutes, I'm going to open up the speakeasy. That's what I'm going to do. Because I'm not going to do a long live tonight, but I am going to, like I said, I am going to open up backstage speakeasy and shit like that in well, yeah, in about 10 minutes. That'll be at my 2 hour mark. And matter of fact, let me just go ahead and put that in the. I'm gonna put the thingamajigger in the fucking chat now, so people can grab that if they want to. But you know, even though I don't really like to censor myself, if you guys haven't noticed already on live streams, but I can definitely speak a little bit more freer, and anybody else that wants to come back and stuff, they can speak, a little freer and stuff on, in the speakeasy and shit like that too. Because you know, I you know, I I don't really hold back a lot when it comes down to it. Even if I'm live, I don't really give a shit. Fucking YouTube. I don't really give a shit about the powers that be or the powers that should not be. I don't give a flying fuck. But I understand it. I get it. But like I said, um, I I I think we have a lot of fun. Um, in the speakeasy, and it can go for a while. And what's going on, Queen? And
Howdy, howdy.
yeah, so, and like I said, anybody else that wants to, like I said, I mean, in about 10 minutes, I am going to go ahead and open up the speakeasy and stuff like that. So if anybody does want to come in, when I shut it down, hit the link, come on up.
Come on, you know y'all want to. Let's have a chat and talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah. And if anybody does, like I don't have the means to do it because I'm on a cell phone, but if anybody does have the means of sharing any videos and all that stuff, man, um, you know, we can do that back there and stuff like that. Um, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, like I
Right on,
said,
right on.
I don't know. I get frustrated sometimes, man, with all this shit that's going on and stuff like that, and I kind of there's times, man, I just want to get away from it all and talk about things that, that's the reason why sometimes I go off on other subjects and shit like, ghosts and fucking aliens and shit. It's it's not as fucking stressful. It seems like.
It's levity. It's
Yeah.
levity and grasping at sanity, even though it might be a little insane in an
Yeah.
insane time.
Oh, hell yeah. I don't really see, that's another thing too, man. I can't remember who said it, but I mean, I agree with the statement. I don't consider it sane to be well adjusted to an insane society. Um,
Exactly.
you know,
Or one
so,
that's hell bent on trying to kill everybody and impoverish everybody and steal all the wealth of the 99% of the everybody.
and that's where it's at too. I mean, seriously, the 1% or whatever of the world, they hold pretty much 50% of the fucking entire planet's wealth and resources. And and there is no such thing as a middle class anymore. And the poor are basically living off of nothing. I mean, I'm scraping up change most of the time. I'm definitely in that below poverty line, at the moment. And I've lived that way for a good part of my life, you know what I'm saying? And so I mean, I can definitely relate in a lot of ways when it comes down to that situation, you know. I mean, because I mean, like I said, I've said this before. I have been homeless before, and I know I know what it's like to be in those situations and stuff like that. And and I start talking about the digital ID and the digital currency and all that stuff. And if they start shutting people's fucking what's up? If they start shutting people's fucking bank accounts down for not complying with it and all that stuff, that's just going to create even more homeless people. That and that's another thing too. It's like there's so many people out there that've never been in those situations, and then they'll get forced into it. How will they will either comply with the bullshit, just to keep their fucking house or keep their fucking, to keep their job or whatever like that. You know what I mean? Um, it makes me wonder how many people will actually stand their ground on principle and stand their ground on that kind of thing, on not complying with it, and just say, fuck it. I'll just have to go, find another employer that will willing to, you know, keep me working without a digital ID and blah 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 and all this other shit. Or
Well, I think that's what a lot of what happened, right? Like that's why there has been such a big criminalization against homelessness is because
yeah,
all those people that did say no
right,
during COVID, that did lose everything, that did have to essentially downsize to RVs and campers and things of that nature, tents if they had to,
yeah,
right? Like all of those people have been attacked, and that's been what's happened for the last 5 years.
yeah. I
It's
mean,
what you're
even
seeing with all of these people that are being run out. Like I still can't track what happened to all the people that they moved out of DC. Like where'd they move them all to? They move them to the surrounding counties. When that fails, they move them out of state. They move them out of that state, they move them to another state. People
I
go
mean,
where it's more habitable to be homeless, which is California, parts of Texas, parts of Florida. But look what they're doing there. They're trying to abolish property taxes, right? People want to
yeah,
jump on those trains, but they don't think about what that implies, what that's going to look like, right? You can say no property taxes, and that's cool and fine, right? But what happens after that? What happens when you take away from one honeypot, if you will?
Yeah.
It's just going to create a bunch of new ones. What's that going to look like for your energy bills?
That is a good question, because I've wondered exactly. Okay, they're getting so much of this revenue that they've been relying on, and gaining more and more from. And if they eliminate that, what will they try and replace it with?
Well, think about Disney, right? Disney's a big corporation, if you will, in and into itself in Florida that
Yep.
technically, from what I've read, I don't know whether I want to buy into all of it, but let's just suppose for a moment that that's accurate. Disney is its own entity, private and not adherent to, by its own contracts, all the laws of that particular entity that is Florida, right? You got to
No,
look at the legalese.
no,
That
they're actually
entity that is Florida does not have control over Disney. It
no,
does not make laws or govern Disney.
no.
And let's be real. If you have a Disney Plus membership to be able to watch all the stuff on there, and then you go to Disney in California or Florida and something happens, you've already waived your rights to sue them for anything just by that rights and terms of service.
Well, see, that's the thing too. Disney, the property down there in Disneyland and Disney World down there in Central Florida and all that stuff. Technically, that has been tax exempt from property tax from the inception. All right, because
Mm-hmm.
most of that land is still under a what is it?
It's like a
Land
lease.
patent, land
Yeah.
patents, actually. It's land patent, but they also, when DeSantis, was sitting there saying, well, no, they're no longer, they need to start paying their fair share and blah, 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 whatever, whatever. Well, Disney came back and said basically the quiet part out loud. They are not under the jurisdiction of the state. They're technically under the jurisdiction of the crown.
Yep.
And so they don't recognize the jurisdiction of the state. That's the
Mm-hmm.
reason why they've been getting away with what they've been getting away with for so long. And
In the words of another friend of mine that's very, very hip to this stuff, who the fuck are they and what authority do they have?
well, the only authority that they have is by by violence and force. Because quite honestly, man, words on a fancy piece of paper doesn't mean shit if there's nobody to enforce it and nobody to comply with it. All
Right.
right. It doesn't matter what you write on a piece of paper. I don't care. They can spring pixie dust on it all they want. Doesn't mean that we got to bow down and obey. You know what I mean? But if there's people that are willing to put the gun to your head and force you into it in compliance, then those words mean something, because it's like cops. It's like I know some cops that are good people, and they do know basically like the Second Amendment here in Florida. They understand and they believe in the Second Amendment and all this other stuff, but they're still willing to enforce gun legislation that was written down on a piece of paper one day and say, oh, it's illegal to open carry. Well, for a long time, they were willing to violate the Second Amendment right there and all that time, until some judge made an opinion, and now it's written on paper that now, yeah, now we can literally open carry in Florida again. You know what I mean? Because I
Mm-hmm.
mean, just because there's, laws or statutes are basically not laws, but statutes, codes, policies, regulations, rules, right? All that stuff are nothing but the opinions of politicians that are forced at the point of a gun by the law enforcement and shit like that. That's all
Mm-hmm.
it is. They're opinions. They're not See, the only, you get into the whole religious part of it too, or when it comes down to the belief of the creator. Only the creator create law. The word law is made up of 3 letters, LAW, which stand for land, air, and water. All right. And only the creator can create law. The only men create statutes, codes, policies, rules, regulations, edicts, fucking all this other shit.
Right.
All right.
We
And
had
all
this
that.
conversation in another place not that long ago. And I went by the scripture, right, which says that, yes, we are to obey the laws of our officials, da 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 da, unless they contradict the laws, the natural laws of God.
Right.
Period. If they do, you revert back to the laws of God. Man
Right.
cannot stand in the place of God. He has no authority. Period.
Right. All right. On that note, everybody, I'm gonna put a link in the chat one more time. I am gonna open up Speakeasy backstage. If anybody wants to come up, hit the link. But otherwise, everybody out there on YouTube, y'all have a good night or a good evening or good morning or whatever it is. I will check you guys on the flip side. The 1122 Wingnut Radio back out.